Hello, and welcome to another week at the Bungalow. So more joist work to do this week, and we also have a couple of attempts at getting the steel ridge beam into place, but more on that later. But we're starting at the front. Got one of two small pieces of wall plate to go in, so exactly the same process as before. Mortar bed, timber into place, and then it gets strapped down just to stop it moving. I mean, this is one of the front ones. So there you can see from last week, Bricklayer's got the door frame in and also the lintel on top, so where we were putting the fur fix in last week. And then off to the back, so correcting here where the padstone was put in to hold the steel, which you can see which will go above the bifolding doors. We're just infilling between padstone and steel so we can get the wall plate in to carry the roof joists of the flat roof extension. We are not experts in bricklaying, as you may be able to tell. Well, but what it enabled us to do was get these joists up. So these are the ones above the rest of the kitchen area and make up the balcony, for want of a better word, roof deck. 150 by 50s, C24s. These are at 300 centres. So structural engineers moved them closer but allowed us to use a slightly shallower profile of timber. Small notching out just to get them under the original ones or the other ones and into that steel. You can see we've also bonded a piece of timber on the right hand side there so that we can screw the timbers down onto rather than have to metalwork or hang them. And we'll also be nogging along midpoint or mid-span. These will be the usual timber noggins, as we couldn't get any of the herringbone straps at 300 centres. But this was a nice easy one. And once again it's new and progress is fast because you can sort of see something happening in front of your eyes. And there we go. All completed, just waiting for its noggins to go along the centre. Now we're back over bedroom 4. And Claire's standing there in what will be where the staircase goes. So just double checking all the hangers, making sure they're the correct spacing. And then we're filling this bit in here. All with the idea or preparation of attempting to lift the ridge steels up into place. So giving us a solid floor to work on, so we've got piles of ply to spread out around. Because now the bricklayers finished the gable end wall, we want to get some weight down on it to stop it rocking around and blowing around in the wind, or possibly blowing around in the wind. The last one goes in, so this one's hanging off both ends, slots nicely into place. And then we're back next day. So we've hired a genie lift, small version, so we can lift it up onto the first floor. And we're working on a plan of action of what we're going to do. Weather's nice, it's sunny. All is well. So genie lift has no problem lifting the weight. Our main problem on this day was wind. As you can tell, it's blowing quite a bit. This is causing the steel to rock around slightly and move. Mainly making us very nervous. So every time you touch it, it's moving slightly. So here we're trying to move it and get it over to one side because we're not quite on the pad stone. We're moving the genie lift back again into the centre, and then finally we decide to call it quits. It's getting too windy, we're getting too nervous, the beam's too heavy, we could do with 2 genie lifts, not 1. All of the above. So this one gets put to one side, gets put down on the ground, and then we feel a whole lot better. So as you can see, while we're in the process of moving our steel around, we managed to crack the pad stone, crack the block next to it, so we've broken the bond and it's going to need to be taken off and replaced. We also discovered that the central pad stone, where the mid span point is also about 50mm in the wrong place, so that needed to come out and be replaced. So the next day is spent a bit of bricklaying, well, if you can call it that with my skills, but putting the pad stone back in place, getting it level, bonding it back up so we can have another attempt. We also made some phone calls and managed to hire another genie lift so that we had 2, not 1, ready for the next attempt in a few days' time once all these pad stones had set. So in the meantime, time was spent putting the struts in, putting the herringbone in on the flooring that we'd already done. So on the near side you can see we put the noggins along the steel there to support against the hangers, and we're putting in the herringbone strap in to hold everything in place. So time not wasted, but nevertheless a bit disappointed with the fact that the day hadn't gone as well as we planned and we didn't have the steels up and out of the way ready for the next stage. But they do need to dry and the mortar needs to set correctly. So marking down there, putting the nails in on the underside of the herringbone strap in. And on the roof deck at the back, we've got the timber bonded into place and we're screwing down to hold the end of the timbers, stop them moving. Just a bit of a time consuming job. But an extra pair of hands definitely makes light work. And then at the front edge of the deck, we're putting in timber noggins just to hold it all nice and square, stop the joists twisting. Exactly the same, making sure it's vertical, drilling through, and then we're using 100mm screws, hold it in place. So, new day dawns. The wind has died down. It's a sunny day. We've managed to get ourselves a second genie lift, and we are forever hopeful that we can get the steel ridge beam up into place. So all the kit gets shifted up. Lifting the genie lifts into place. Tower, ladders, levels, all of which gets taken away every night, so we're not leaving it there. So now that the pad stone's been moved, we're bolting the steel down into place. So this is the steel that supports the intersection of the ridge. Genie lifts are one at each end, much more stable, and then we wind it up in unison. So the idea being, rather than trying to shift it around on the pad stone and cracking the joint like we did last time, it goes straight up into the air. We move it around on the forks of the two genie lifts, and then we drop it directly down, no moving around. So manoeuvring the steel column into place, getting that down onto the steel beam, eyeing up and seeing if the holes match up nicely, and we're making sure that we're directly above the pad stone at the other end. And then we drop a couple of nuts and bolts down, hand tight, ready to drop the beam down onto the column and the pad stone. And then with that in place, move on to the other side. And it's winched up. Tower's brought along, so we've got something to stand on. But as you can tell, with the two genie lifts, it's just a lot more stable, and then we can push it across the cavity or onto the pad stone without too much bother. And it slides on the forks. And we just about had the space to manoeuvre it in. Measurements worked out well, which was very thankful, and it was a bead of sweat wiped off the brow. And there you go. Second attempt. we have our ridge beam in place. So there she is. Quick view of what I've been up to. Noggins are in place, herringbone straps are in place, and the ridge is up and out the way. And another week draws to a close. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.